Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you from COG Studios, live on a Thursday night. It's May 16th, just ahead of the LA Galaxy's game against the winless Colorado Rapids. A trap game, a difficult game, something that the Galaxy might actually have to worry about. We're going to discuss all of that as we get you ready for that. Lots of LA Galaxy news, Zlatan Ibrahimovic information, Jonathan dos Santos information, Favio Alvarez information, so we're going to lead you all that stuff. Gold Cup, let's see, U17s. There's a whole bunch of things to get to tonight here on our live show as we get you ready for that LA Galaxy Sunday kickoff, 5 p.m. against the Colorado Rapids. So again, lots of stuff to get to. In order to help me do that, we've welcomed back the man, the myth, the legend. It's Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. It's after those 3 games in 8 days. It felt like we needed a break, and we got our break. And now it seems like it's been a little bit of a slow grind coming up to it. But you just mentioned a bunch of things, so I guess we do have quite a bit to talk about. It's one of those shows where we worry, are we going to have enough to fill an hour? And then we always end up filling an hour.
Yeah, with no midweek game, it is weird, and it feels like this game has taken about 2 months to be able to actually get played. Right. And you're not there yet. I mean, it's still Sunday.
Still got 2 more days.
Sunday, 5 p.m. What it will mean is that people will have a more or an easier time actually listening to our shows, because I've seen the numbers sort of go down a little with no time in between to listen to all the shows.
Yeah, the Wednesday show on a Friday game, I would imagine. Those aren't great. It's not just me. I'm not driving your numbers down.
Yeah,
it's the schedule. That's what we'll point to the schedule.
Some of that's definitely it, but no, that's where we sit right now. So the LA Galaxy getting ready to kick off against the Colorado Rapids, as we said, the winless Colorado Rapids. In fact, they could set a record if they don't win on Sunday, the Rapids, or if they don't get a draw. Or I think it's win. It's the winless streak that's actually going on. But there's a bunch of other Galaxy sort of news that we have to touch on and have to get ready for. And so let's just start going down some of this stuff. The thing that just ended not too long ago, if you were watching, is that the US U17 team and the Mexico U17 team was just playing for the CONCACAF Championship. Both teams already qualified for the U17 World Cup, which will be upcoming, I believe, later this year. So all those things are great, but the reason that it is LA Galaxy centered and something that is interesting for LA Galaxy people is that there were 4 LA Galaxy players, mostly academy players, and then Efrain Alvarez as well, but 4 LA Galaxy players who are playing in this game. You had Galaxy Academy players Adam Saldana, Mauricio Cuevas, and Kobe Hernandez, who was probably the biggest name on that U.S. side for the LA Galaxy. Kobe Hernandez is one of those guys that the Galaxy need to capture, like they did with Efrain, and then Efrain actually started the game. I think Kobe Hernandez started the game as well, but Efrain had an assist in the first half. Mexico ended up winning 2-1 in extra time. It was a really great game, fun to sort of watch. U.S. dominated all sorts of all over the field, and eventually, just didn't capitalize on some things. But Kobe Hernandez had a good tournament. Efrain Alvarez had a pretty good tournament as well. So if you're looking for, LA Galaxy sort of links to this and how they're doing, I think you have to be pretty happy that Efrain Alvarez was there and playing for Mexico.
Yeah, you basically said it. Having 4 players who are linked to your team involved in a final, considering the region, I mean, that's all you can ask for. And especially when you have Efrain assist on a goal, he had assist on a final. Kobe Hernandez, I saw some highlights of him getting pretty close on some U.S. opportunities. So whenever you have names who you're bringing up through your ranks and they're making noise in your region's final, that's never a bad thing. So that's something to be very proud of if you're keeping an eye on the youngsters. And if you're a fan of U.S. soccer, this is a good thing. Got a lot of good things coming through. If you're a fan of Mexican soccer, some of those are some dual national question marks too, where you can see some players going in either direction. So this is a good thing if you're a fan of the region.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that always sort of developed. There's always seems to be this gap between what you see at the U17 or U20 level, and then whenever you finally get to the senior team. But Efrain Alvarez is a guy who is well respected on both sides of that field. Yeah. The U.S. still could take a shot at trying to get Alvarez.
Yeah. I know that's a popular bit of conversation. It seems like it's pretty much sealed. I mean, with the amount that they're investing in him and building it up, it seems like Efrain is making his way to the Mexican side of the federation there.
Yeah, that's what I would expect
Yeah.
it to be. Is
But
that he
take your shots if you can.
Well, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what you see in that game. So that's sort of a little bit of a kickoff on the news. As we transition more back to the LA Galaxy, let's go over some of the question marks that you currently have for Sunday's game, and we'll try to be as exacting as we can, understanding that we don't have all the answers right now.
Wait, when's the game?
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Okay. Sunday.
We don't need to have news until Saturday late evening, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. As far as Favio Alvarez, we're assuming that his visa did come in and that he's playing. We've seen that he is training, so I would expect, and although I did not hear back from the Galaxy by the time we kicked off this show at 7 p.m., I would expect that Favio Alvarez will be available for this game and will play in this game. As a matter of fact, I would expect him to start in this game whenever you look at that. He's coming off of the year already in season for Argentina, so this is not one of those
Doesn't
things.
need to play himself into fitness. He should be ready to roll.
He should be ready to roll. So as you've looked and seen some of the training photos, you've seen him there. So he's there. We can talk about what you think his role might be a little bit later, because obviously there's other news or at least some other suggestions and inclinations and things.
This is why you're a pro. You're really teasing it out. If people aren't keeping their ear to the ground, they might not know what you're talking about.
This is good.
We're gonna get there. I like it. Yeah, gotta listen for more.
Well, the other thing is I don't want to say anything. I'm hoping that I still get a text message back from the LA Galaxy by the time I actually have to say it.
This is a strategic move by you. That's why you're a pro.
It is. Yeah, that's the reason.
That's the reason. Yep.
Anyway, so that's where we sit on Favio Alvarez right now. Jonathan dos Santos, we do have a COG exclusive. We can tell you about Jonathan dos Santos. Jonathan dos Santos was out at training today. Larry Morgan saw him at training today. Whenever Jonathan walked by them on the way out of training, he said to Larry, that he expected to play on Sunday, that he'll be ready for Sunday.
Perfect. The Larry Morgan exclusive.
There it is.
That's why he's part of the COG team.
Yeah, that's it.
You need him. It's not for his golf prowess.
It's not for his. Don't tease the man's hole in one.
Shout out to you, Larry.
Larry Morgan, tip of the hat, hole in one. I mean, come on. That's from a guy who played golf a lot of his years, especially in college. I never got one. Larry's had two, and this was his second one. So a little 6-iron, 150 yards. Congrats. Okay, there we go. I told him he owed
Slow
us
news
all.
Week.
I told him he owed us all a drink. So we'll see if that ends up happening. So anyway, so that comes in. So Jonathan dos Santos expected to be available for Sunday, which is a good thing, because as Jonathan dos Santos goes, the LA Galaxy goes right now. So I think we're all very much in tune with the fact that if Jonathan dos Santos plays, the LA Galaxy, regardless if they have everybody else, they have a pretty good chance.
And with Colorado's run of form, even if Jonathan doesn't play, you don't hate their chances. You don't want to force it, but again, you want to have that safety valve of having a healthy Jonathan dos Santos available.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So we'll see. It looks like he'll be available. It looks like he should play, and that's good ahead of another busy week, as they'll shift for a short week as we discuss the schedule and everything there. So the other big sort of news, or the thing that's hanging out there, and the thing that we don't have an answer on right now, is whether or not Zlatan Ibrahimovic will be available for this game, or if he'll be available for the Orlando game. Let's see.
It's bizarre.
It's not bizarre. It's normal. This is normal MLS disciplinary committee. Now, I actually asked people on Twitter. I said, what do you actually think of the disco? What is your thoughts? Because I have my own thoughts.
Yep.
But my thoughts are certainly colored by the fact that I think that they railroaded Nigel de Jong, and that they've made inconsistent decisions throughout the history of the MLS disciplinary committee. Even with VAR, I would have expected everything to get better, but the disco has gone the other way and gotten worse. The Kaku thing, which you heard me all rant about, is sort of the biggest thing.
That's the most concerning of it. But when you pose that question, I didn't reply to it, so my apologies, Josh. But my thoughts on it, I do think they're pushing a narrative, and that's the purpose of that committee. Is they want to send messages that when these things happen, this is how we're going to respond. They want to set precedent as things happen. So I think that's why they're taking the time with the Zlatan news, because whatever they do, this is going to be something where if something happens in the future, they could refer back to it. I think they want to tell a narrative, and I think it's not necessarily this objective committee who's making decisions in the best interests of the players, best interests of the fans or of the league. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're trying to tell a story.
Well, here's the other thing too, and this is where you have to understand. There's some people of the belief that the disciplinary committee doesn't meet until the later in the week, except that they issued 3 findings from this weekend.
That's why I said it was bizarre.
Tuesday.
Yeah, because if you're going to drop it, you would think you'd drop it with everything else.
Well, now there's many reasons that they could not. One is that if they're actually doing a suspension, all the rest were fines, and those are fairly swept under the rug, and you're like, okay, whatever. The fact that Sean Johnson wasn't on there for fines is also interesting because if you're going to fine somebody, Sean Johnson would probably be the one who gets fined for the embellishment side of things if you believe he embellished.
You're going that direction. Here we go.
I do believe. Oh yeah, he embellished. I mean, that's the whole thing that you're going to have to go here. Speaking to the Panda about this as well, he was saying, he goes, I've watched it so many times. I've watched the play over and over again. You can look at it a bunch of different ways. Yeah. I can look at it and honestly say that Zlatan may not do anything, and Sean Johnson totally flops. I don't believe that.
You can't say he didn't do anything. His hands
on the neck.
So,
but does he squeeze? Can you tell?
No, well, and that's I like John Champion, who was making the call on ESPN. He said you can't see a choke. You can see the hand on the neck, and so without seeing what happens, you can't fine him or suspend him because you don't know what happened.
Right.
You're going off the reaction from Sean Johnson, and if the call on the field was a double yellow that they both were involved in some scuffle, then that's where you have to leave it. There's no evidence in any direction that you can tell what happened. And so that's why I think it's extremely difficult that if they do suspend Zlatan, I could see a situation where, okay, he's suspended and he gets a red because you're going to say he choked him, but it's really difficult. You can't tell with any of the camera angles that he did that. You can say he put his hands on the neck,
which you're not allowed to do, which is a fine, or you can, if you want to, you can justify it as, well, hands to the face should have been a red, so we're going to suspend him for one game. I think I could live with that, seeing how, that's the dangerous line you walk. If they go more than that, then they're telling a narrative. They're trying to set a message. Well, and one of those narratives could be that, we didn't do anything whenever he entered the locker room against Real Salt Lake, and so this is
accumulation.
You're getting an accumulation. But it's like, no, you had the chance to punish that, and you decided not to. So you didn't do that. There's too many things here. If you look at what Dave Romney got saddled with, which was a suspension for embellishment. By the way, the only one that I can still fine for embellishment. And the reason that he got suspended for it was because it led to a penalty kick.
Yeah.
Now, they acknowledge that there was contact in that play, which is still mind-boggling to me that they can therefore sit there and say, well, yeah, there was contact, but, I mean...
Yeah, which, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, which is, my specialty that I've been loved for here. But if this committee is setting precedent and they want to set examples, that Romney situation, there have been plenty of examples where they haven't given embellishment with very similar situations. So,
and no suspensions.
And no suspensions and no fines. So it's just bizarre where they pick and choose to flex their muscle. But I think if they are going to do something, it's going to be because fans around the league and owners around the league are probably looking around saying, Zlatan comes in and he gets to do whatever he wants outside of pulling a knife on somebody and stabbing them on the field. They're not going to do anything. And if they want to push back against that, then that's why they'll suspend him.
Which is what Nigel de Jong did, right? He pulled out a knife and stabbed somebody. Oh no, he didn't. Oh, that's right. It was during a run of play on a player who was already injured.
Darlington Nagby.
So much drama in that. It was like if you ever wanted the biggest drama that ever happened to me, that may have been it right there.
That was a lot of drama. And then when it led into the meme war between the clubs, that is a pretty high drama-filled moment.
It has. So anyway, listen. So speaking, I've heard rumors and I've talked to people and their sources, and I think that at one point they were considering a 2-game ban, 2-game suspension, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's still what it is. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it's 1 game because it's a red card, and so. But people are arguing, well, he didn't miss the rest of that game, so it's 2 games. It's like, listen, let's not play that game, okay? The referee saw it, VAR saw it. Don't re-referee these games.
And double yellow was the decision.
Which, by the way, instigated by Sean Johnson, right? Finished by Zlatan. Reaction by Zlatan, right? So all this stuff. Listen, Zlatan doesn't have a great track record. I mean, that's the other thing that sort of comes into this, and we know that.
Yeah.
But if you're the league, you can't talk out both sides of your mouth either. Either he's just like every other player, which if this was every other player,
he would have been in the Wednesday notes.
He would have been in the Wednesday notes. It would have been done. The fact that it's dragged out this is clearly MLS making a statement about it.
Well, and here's the thing too. If they say anything at all, then obviously it's a big deal. If we don't hear anything, then that acknowledges that they're happy with the decision. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but if they can't, they're not going to come out and say, we reviewed what happened and we're not going to give any fines, because then you're acknowledging something needed to be reviewed there. And so that's kind of the catch-22. If they say something, it's a suspension. If they don't say anything, then what does that accomplish?
We know the play is under review. I've talked to people at the Galaxy. They've told me the play is under review. I said, it's not unusual. It's not unusual.
Oh, man.
I know, sorry.
The Tom Jones references.
It's not unusual for it to take this long. Usually they give... Listen.
Okay.
The Galaxy already know the answer. All right? If Zlatan has been suspended, they already know it. Okay, usually it just takes a while for everything to clear
So
through.
this isn't one of those competitive advantage.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it is probably to the Galaxy to where they're like, oh, well, but the Galaxy don't get to announce this either. This is one of those things. It's not out of character for the disciplinary committee on a red card where they're going to add another game to wait for the first game to even have gone by and been suspended, and because they have the time.
Isn't that what they did with the Kaku thing? He missed the next game because of the red card,
and then they added two more.
They added after that. Okay,
so he got 3 games again.
But this wasn't a red card, so you don't have that much time.
So you don't have that much time. The usual thing is that the minimum is 2 days beforehand, and because it's a Sunday game, that means that on Friday, after this podcast is already out.
Which is, we're great at that.
Yeah.
Discussing something back and forth.
And then having
the next
nothing,
morning.
it being nothing. So, yeah, I just, again, I think that the disciplinary committee has always acted out of agenda.
Yeah.
More than what it is. I mean,
I agree with that.
Even at Kaku, the argument about Kaku is that he easily should have been suspended 5 games.
Yeah.
For
2 games is ridiculous.
An additional 2 games was ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So 3 total games is ridiculous. He should have been 5 or 6 games, because basically what you're going to say is that if Zlatan gets 2 games and Kaku got 3 games, that kicking the ball point blank at a fan. Now, granted, everybody says that he meant to hit the boards, but he's a professional soccer player.
Regardless,
it doesn't matter. You're supposed to be able to hit it.
Again, are we going what they intended to do or what actually happened? Because Zlatan may have just been wanting to give Sean Johnson. He was sore. Needed a little. You don't know the intent.
He was
he was trying to hit the boards. He was trying to massage his neck. You can't measure intent. What did you see? That's what you're measuring.
Sean may have said, "Hey, Ibra, my neck is really sore. Can you give it a massage?" You don't know. You weren't there.
Yeah,
prove me wrong.
And so that's a. Yeah, we had that discussion.
Prove me wrong. Send me the pictures.
Send me the pictures. Where in the rule book does it say that a player cannot give a neck massage to the opposing team's goalkeeper? It doesn't say that.
I don't think there is. I think he just hit a nerve. That's what it was. That's why Sean.
And obviously we're being silly because I think some people really did take that angle. But I think that it's obviously he did something. He put his hands where they shouldn't be. But the intent you can't punish on intent. That's tricky.
It's difficult to get in the head of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I know they're going to try. I know that that's what their ultimate goal is going to be, and they're going to. I really think it's going to come down to a 2-game suspension. So you're looking at Zlatan Ibrahimovic being out against Colorado and out against Orlando. That's bad news for the Galaxy. It is. I don't care how you look at it. The Galaxy are 1-9-5.
So you can make the argument that missing the Colorado game, one game, maybe that's the team that if you miss at home, that'd be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the second game he doesn't get to travel. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows where you'd go with that?
By the way, is that Kobe Jones?
Kobe Jones.
My,
retro seeded as us.
Yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, Eric.
Not knockoff jersey. But it's a replica.
It's a replica.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be. Yeah. It's not official. It's just a replica.
Yeah, but it's good quality. It's good stuff. A lot of fun. You see these all over Dignity Health Sports Park. You almost see more of these than you see actual Galaxy memorabilia. So it's kind of a cool little feature that we have here.
It is, yeah. Check it out on the YouTube channel if you missed that, or if you're listening on the podcast, just imagine the original, one of the original
1996 original home kit.
There it is, Kobe Jones, 13.
Kobe Jones,
lucky number 13. Anyway, so that's sort of it. I think if I'm being reasonable here, if I can put on my disco hat for a second, I can tell you that if it was up to me. I would probably think that there was enough there to probably suspend him for a game.
That's what I could live with a game. I think one game, you treat it as if it were a red card, and it's the extended game. That I could live with. 2 games, I guess I can live with that because they're not going overboard with it.
You can't. It is overboard, though. It is. You're saying that Kaku was only slightly worse with what he did.
Well, that's the thing. Are you setting precedent? Because they didn't want to tell a story that involving fan violence is. They didn't want to send a message that that's completely unacceptable, but they're going to say that, in the heat of battle, grabbing someone, that's where they draw the line.
Well,
yeah, it's hypocritical to make those decisions.
Again, and then Nigel de Jong got 3 games for the Nagby thing, right? And that was way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, like even if you say that it was
a
still
foul.
in the game, yeah, it's sort of people are going to say it's off the ball and that's why it's worse and that type of thing. But listen, Sean Johnson went up there bumping Ibra to do it. He was trying to start something and he got the reaction he wanted. There it was. That was it.
But I even don't think he was trying to get that big of a he obviously bumped him. He wasn't trying to get out of his way, but I don't think he was trying to intimidate him or do anything.
He walks right into him.
But I think he would have done that to anyone. I don't think he was trying to get Zlatan
Oh, I agree. I agree. You would have done it to anybody, but like at the same time, when you do it to Zlatan,
you have the
that,
opportunity.
Yeah, there's going to be something there. Anyway, so we'll find out. I imagine that if a suspension is coming, you will hear about it on Friday. I also said that I thought it would be Thursday, but I forgot the game was on Sunday. And whenever you try to do all this disco math, they bought themselves a day. So we'll see how that goes and sort of where that travels. But it's a very real possibility the LA Galaxy could be without Zlatan Ibrahimovic for the next couple of games.
Yeah, we'll see. Did you hear about the other MLS news?
No, what's the
There's
other?
an allocation money update.
Oh, no.
Did you hear about this?
No.
We have new allocation money. We have GAM. We have TAM.
All right.
And then now we have FAM, which is future allocation money.
Oh, no.
The Columbus Crew sent $450 in allocation for 2020 for David Accam to go to Nashville.
FAM.
FAM. So GAM, TAM, and FAM.
Future allocation money. Yeah, that whole David Accam thing is really interesting because he's basically with
getting
Columbus.
shopped around. Yeah.
He's with Columbus for the rest of this year, but then he's going to Nashville.
Yes.
It's really, really interesting. It's
bizarre.
And apparently he knew about it the whole time, by the way, because people were like, oh, he's getting screwed over. It's like, no, he knew there was a 3-team deal the whole time, and so apparently that's fine and everything goes. All right.
Good times. I'm just excited for FAM.
For FAM? Good job, FAM.
GAM, TAM, FAM.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to the Gold Cup. Let's talk about this a little bit. This is going to be an interesting time for the LA Galaxy. And whenever I say interesting, I mean horrible. The Gold Cup starts June 15th for the group stages. The quarterfinals are June 29th and 30th. Semifinals are July 2nd and July 3rd. The final is July 7th. So from June 15th to July 7th, and by the way, prior to June 15th, there are going to be some absences for the LA Galaxy, and that means that there are a possibility of about, I'm guessing, 4 games that are going to be affected. Right now, Oriol Antuna has been called up to the Mexican national team. Jonathan dos Santos with the Mexican national team. We're expecting Sebastian Lletget is likely for the U.S. men's national team. And then outside of the Gold Cup, you actually have Copa America and Rolf Feltscher, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So right now, just off the top of the head there, we have 4 Galaxy players.
4 starting LA Galaxy players.
Yes.
Well, depending on which lineup you roll
True.
Starting caliber player.
I don't think that anybody's going to say Rolf Feltscher going away is like the worst thing as long as Julian Araujo is okay. And with the team, by the way, because he was almost called up to the
U20s.
U20s, that's right. So, almost missed another one.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And by the way, we should mention that Favio Alvarez, who was down with Mexico for the U17, should be back.
Yeah, we're getting him back. That's the good news.
Yeah, until the U17 World Cup. And then he'll go away again.
I'm going to hit you with a yeah, but still.
Yeah, but still. So as you look at the Gold Cup again, June 15th to July 7th, the possibility of 3 LA Galaxy players being gone for that. Rolf Feltscher down with Copa America and Venezuela, possible as well. Now, here's the good news is Oriol Antuna is sort of listed as that preliminary, and I think they have 28 or 29 players currently on that roster. They have to get that down to 23. So there's a good possibility he comes back.
Yeah, it depends on what Tata Martino was thinking. Is he just inviting him in? You know, it's an honor just to be nominated type of deal, or is he seriously in the plan? So, depending on the roster that you see, how it finally shakes out, it's a good confidence boost for him if you're an LA Galaxy fan, because that bumps him up. But it's at the cost of him possibly being gone during that month of June-July stretch.
Yeah, and so here are the games, by the way, the 4 games that I've sort of singled out as being affected by this. The Galaxy play again on June 2nd, and then they go dormant for this Gold Cup. I think they anticipated that with the international break that they would be losing people, so MLS decided to break early. So between June 2nd and June 22nd, 20 days, you basically have no games. Not for the LA Galaxy. There might be some other teams who play maybe one more game in there or something like that.
And you might see some Open Cup things start happening, in that window. I think the Galaxy were involved in one of those during the World Cup break last season. They played their Open Cup match in that break just because there were no games scheduled, and it was a good time to have those games. So you might see something, but officially having that break there, I think that was the intent.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So then you have 4 games that could possibly be affected with this Gold Cup and with the call-ups and all that fun stuff. So 6:22 at Cincinnati, 6:29 at San Jose, 7-4 versus Toronto, and even though 7-7 is the final for the Gold Cup, you also have to imagine that players who played in that final, most likely, if we're guessing from years past, Mexico and the United States.
Or one or the other.
Yeah, or one or the other, for sure. If you go in there and you look at that, then 7-12 versus San Jose is also going to be affected by this. That means the 2 games against San Jose will be affected by Gold Cup call-ups or international call-ups, we should say.
That's another thing that the league does, is schedule these games so close together. I mean, we see with the other team playing a Thursday, Sunday against the same team. It's kind of odd. And so having within a month of each other playing the same team, especially with the Gold Cup break, because you imagine that it's going to affect these teams. So it's just tricky, because how do you really get a manage on the season? You only play each other twice. And if you were depleted of your best players, you're not really getting a good measure of how these teams stack up, and it's unfair in the points and how they shake out on the table. So I don't know what the solution is. Again, I love people like that. I don't know what the solution is. I just need to fix it.
Just need to fix it. Fix it now.
I'm that guy right now. But it just seems bizarre.
Yeah, and there's a ton of games coming for the LA Galaxy, too. We have more information on more games that the Galaxy will be playing, and I'm already shaking my head. So already you're seeing that the depth is certainly going to be tested against these four teams, and with the Gold Cup call-ups, with Open Cup being played during some of this time as well. So a lot of games for the LA Galaxy. Rolf Feltscher has been called up preliminarily to the Venezuela national teams. We've told you that before. He made the 40-man roster that they had. Copa America is June 14th to July 7th, I believe, in Brazil. And so Copa America is going on from June 14th to July 7th, the same as the Gold Cup time here in the United States when that's going to be played. So if you look at that, there's a good chance that you could be missing Rolf Feltscher if he makes that Venezuelan squad. Could be gone from June 14th to July 7th. Again, it's a blow to the LA Galaxy and the depth that they have in these positions, because you're not replacing Jonathan dos Santos. You can replace Rolf Feltscher, but Uriel Antuna is a starter. I mean,
but if you replace Rolf Feltscher, then where's your safety net? Because then if his replacement goes down and Araujo's been hurt already, what's your plan after that? So we've seen the Galaxy's depth tested already with this away trip that they've had in the 3-game losing streak. We've kind of seen some effect. So going even further, it is going to be tricky. I think it's a tightrope walk that Schelotto's going to have to walk as we get closer to it.
Yeah. So then we go on and we talk about more games, and this sort of breaking. It's not really breaking. We've been hearing rumors about it. I've been not wanting to talk about it because I was hoping those rumors would be wrong. But basically, there is a new tournament between Liga MX and Major League Soccer that'll kick off here in 2019. 4 teams from each of those leagues, currently not qualified for any reason. I think they just pick 4 teams from each, and there will eventually be a qualifying round to this, and a reason why you will get to play in this tournament. But the 4 MLS teams are the LA Galaxy, Chicago Fire, Houston Dynamo, and Real Salt Lake. The 4 Liga MX teams, Club America, Tigres, Cruz Azul, and Club Tijuana. This tournament will run from July to September.
Oh.
And we don't know exactly when, but if you're looking at the schedule and you wanted to play along and say, hey, Josh, well, how many games do the LA Galaxy play within those months? Well, I can tell you the answer to that. July has 4 games. August and September have 5 games each. So during this tournament, also could be during other tournaments, could be during other things that are going on all this time, from July to September, there are 14 games the LA Galaxy will be playing during that time.
That's 41% of the season.
41% of the season. Not only that, but the lead up at the end of September, you have 5 games in September, and then 2 in October. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
You are done with this league.
If there's any playoff push, then that's definitely going to have an effect on it as well. The timing is pretty ridiculous, especially with a Gold Cup year, a Copa America year, and you're throwing this in there. It just seems, and the teams that they chose, it just, again, bizarre seems to be the word of the day. It's not like there's some Western Conference representation and some Eastern. It's 3 from the West, 1 from the East. And so it just seems like this was a random spattering. It's not like they took the top 4 teams. It just seemed like, okay, who wants to play? Who has a ball and is going to come and show up? And I don't know if it's a cash grab, if that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's all roads lead back to that. But without having a qualifying place, they already have the, Campeones Cup, Champions Cup, whatever they're calling
Liga
it.
MX
so
versus.
How does this play? Is this a version of that? Does the champion of the Campeones Cup play the winner of the tournament? I don't know how it all works. It just seems like there's a lot of spinning wheels for no real reason.
Well, and then here ends up being the issue is that then you field your B team. And then you field a B team against Liga MX, and then everybody says Major League Soccer isn't any good compared to. I mean, the Galaxy don't have the depth for this. I don't know that they're, especially in a year where they condense the schedule, especially in a year where there's an international, like as you just said, all of these things add up to.
This isn't the year to roll this out.
No, why?
Yeah.
Why? What was the it had to be this year. We had to start it this year, otherwise it was never going to. And why did the Galaxy get picked? Did they volunteer for this? I doubt they raised their hand and said, "Oh yeah, we're in." Maybe they did. And maybe you can only blame people. Maybe.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the deal is if they host a certain amount of the games or if they're guaranteed to host one. I don't know how that's going to work, or if it's a home and home, because then you get the attendance money. I can see that, and I can see if you're organizing this, having the star power of Zlatan participate. But if you're making a playoff push, why would you start these players? And then if you're going to field your B team, then what's the purpose of having? You're not really testing your competition. So until they come out and explain, the purpose of this is to develop blah blah. I don't know what good reason. How you can argue that this is a good idea to have.
This is like whenever people used to argue against having friendlies, right? In the middle of the summer too. Which, by the way, the Galaxy haven't played in a little while now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gone away, and
to argue, play devil's advocate for those is they were one-offs, and they were against quality of team that was coming over where you got an opportunity to play against world-class talent. You were able to bring fans in, get them in the door, maybe bring some people who haven't normally been to Galaxy games. I could see the argument for the one-offs, but to have a tournament, that's wild.
It's going to be a round-robin tournament. You play everybody once, and
that's
then
what you need. 7 more games.
7 more games.
Minimum.
Yeah, exactly. Minimum in order to play, and then you see how it goes. I mean, there's certain points where, as you're watching this, for the health of the LA Galaxy and for what they're trying to do, I mean, you could see a tournament like this derailing all the work that was done this year, and this is a playoff team. This is clearly a playoff team in my mind. So you could see it just derail that entire thing, and they won't be a playoff team because they have too many games and not a deep enough roster. And again, with everything being condensed, is there an MLS team out there right now that has a deep enough roster to compete in this tournament?
And I've actually had this conversation with a few friends. It's like, well, how are your subs doing on your team? And it's like everyone's starting roster is about what it is, but the drop off to who your depth is, I think for every team in the league, it's a pretty big drop off from your starting talent to your bench talent. And so I don't think there's a single team that's equipped to field 2 teams to go in 2 competitions. I don't think the league's there yet. We just don't have those type of players. So it's frightening to consider. And what have I always said? Don't peak too soon. What if this is the tournament they peak in? They win this tournament, they've peaked, and then it all falls apart when you get to the MLS playoffs.
It does you no good. You'll get nothing.
Again, that would make me very upset if they peaked at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. All right. So we'll keep watching this as details sort of get played out there, but
I'm sure they'll come out and explain, and everything will make total sense.
It's going to be stupid. Ultimately it's going to come down to being meaningless games that mean nothing, which is what meaningless means. Which mean nothing.
In July and August.
In the hottest times.
In Mexico and
the United States.
In Southern California, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, how can you do this? Now, there's a rumor out there, and there's been articles written again, that there seems to be at least some groundswell of support from Major League Soccer owners that they want to increase the salary budget. In fact, increase it by threefold, somebody said. So you go from about $4 million up to about $12 million, which would be something where you're sitting there going, okay, that's you're starting to get there. Yeah. But if you're going to do that, which I would love for them to do, get rid of all the allocation money.
Yeah.
Get rid of
here's your money. Just go sick.
You can still do designated players if you want to that are outside of it or that type of thing, but just be like, just go. Yep. Go. This is your money. Spend it on whoever you want.
And that'll level the playing field to an extent between the 2 leagues. And then also there was a rumor going around where they were going to combine leagues, the MLS and league. So I don't know if whoever the brain trust is behind that, if this is a test run of some version of that.
This is what happens whenever you get to drink during the day and then you propose stuff like this.
I just want to go to one of those owners meetings and just fly on the wall, see how it all goes down.
Yes, Sergio in the chat room says a Revolution player tore his ACL playing a meaningless game against Chelsea. What was that, last night? Was that the day?
Wasn't there a Chelsea player who got injured?
Oh, there might have been. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Loftus Cheek.
I mean, you have to go back to Aleko Escuderian, who got a concussion in a meaningless game and never played soccer again. So, again, meaningless games are meaningless. They don't mean anything. That's what it means.
Until they do.
Until you don't play soccer anymore.
Yeah,
so
Chelsea fear Loftus Cheek faces months out with a ruptured Achilles.
No.
So that's the Chelsea player who got injured in a friendly.
And they're getting ready to play the Europa.
Yeah.
And then the
Good
Europa
times.
League. Yeah,
against
Arsenal.
You make it through a whole Premier League season.
Yep.
You come to play the New England Revolution.
Yep.
And that's where it all goes wrong.
Oh, my gosh. Let's see. Chat room comment from El Nino Futbolista.
Oh, I like the name already.
Right? Can't wait to play in the Audi 2019 North American Honda Cup of North America.
Well, and you know what? They're not going to count goals. It's going to be all Audi index points. That's how you win.
That's how you win. Yeah, it doesn't
I like
matter.
it.
Goals doesn't matter.
Goals don't matter. It's your Audi index points.
That's how it works. All right, that works for me. So that's where we sort of sit right now with most of that stuff. Just hearing from somebody close to the club while we were actually doing the show, it seems that everybody is expecting Favio Alvarez to be available for Sunday. I imagine that media availability, because it's the Sunday game, is Friday this time.
Okay.
So Friday, Larry Morgan will be out there. So Friday, we should know. Friday morning, we should know. So check Twitter, check Facebook. We'll have articles up that sort of recap all this stuff. But we should get explanations for, one, whether or not Zlatan is suspended, and two, whether or not Favio Alvarez will be available, which I expect that he will. So.
Yeah, again, if he was with the team last week and it was close, then you would imagine that things have progressed, that he'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. All right, as we get closer to this game on Sunday, I wanted to give you a heads up. The LA Galaxy Pop-Up Museum, curated, of course, by, I think we should call her like an LA Galaxy original fan, because it goes all the way back to 1996.
Yeah, she needs an official title.
Yeah, Miss Linda Pickle, who's over there with the Galaxians as well. But this Pop-Up Museum was a huge hit last year, so big, the Galaxy actually asked her to bring it back. This is all of her stuff within her own collection.
I was going to say, this isn't an outside source. This is her own collection, which is impressive. I heard a lot of good things, a lot of good feedback for those who visited last season. So I'm excited. I'll be at the game this Sunday. I'll probably swing by and check it out.
Yeah, this is good. This will be on the main concourse. It'll be during Soccer Fest, which opens up before the game. So that's a 5 p.m. game time. Let's see. Media gates open at 3, so I think that everything else opens at 3:30 and then 3:15 for season ticket holders, something like that. So whenever it comes in. So that's what you want to do. Get out there, but go check out all this stuff. This is stuff you won't see anywhere else. I had a really interesting story. I don't know if some people know my real job that I have is I'm a contractor. We build industrial freezers, refrigerator warehouses, blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
It's very exciting stuff.
I was at a building department. I was at the Santa Ana building department because I was trying to get permits pulled and going through some things, and I had to go get a business license portion of this, which is usually what we have to do when we work in a city. So I go over and I'm talking to the guy, and he asked me what I was doing this weekend. I'm like, oh, I'm going to see the Galaxy, and he was like, oh, he goes, I like the Galaxy. I'm like, oh, cool, blah, blah. So I told him that I'm a reporter and podcaster and all that fun stuff.
You didn't make him hit subscribe right there on his phone?
That's right. I was like, here, bring it up.
Let
me do it. Here, let me bring that up for you. Hit subscribe. Do that. So we were talking a little bit. He goes, hey, you wouldn't by happen chance to know a woman named Linda Pickle, would you? And I'm like, yeah,
Everyone
of course.
knows
Everybody
Linda
knows Linda Pickle. And he goes, oh, she used to work here. So apparently she used to work within the city of Santa Ana somewhere. And he goes, and if you went up to her office, full of LA Galaxy stuff.
Of course. She probably just took her office with her.
That's very well awesome. Could have been. So anyway, so I thought it was funny just to sort of see that,
that's awesome.
That be connected and do the whole thing. Somebody asked if I can fix their ice maker. No. No. That's no. No. I mean, maybe.
Well, can you or won't you?
Won't you? Yeah,
will you not do it, or are you capable?
Do it. Yeah. I'm in construction as well. Some people always ask, will you build my house? No.
He's gonna. Josh is a big picture guy. He's not getting in there, getting his hands dirty.
I used to, by the way. I used to do that. Whenever I was in high school, that's what my summer job was, working out in the field. So, that was always a good time.
He just says that to impress people. He sat in his ivory tower, air conditioned.
Trailer.
Don't let him fool you.
Not a thing. LA Galaxy, as far as training goes, we'll train on Saturday. If you were perhaps thinking about going to visit training, which you're not allowed to do, but if you were perhaps thinking about going and standing and watching the players go to and from training, which you're not allowed to do, Saturday would be a good day to not do that. Yeah. So if you want just one of those things, I may be out there on Saturday.
Officially unofficial.
Absolutely. I may be out there on Saturday and seeing if I can get an interview going and possibly seeing if that'll work. And then if I can, which I want to record for the podcast, it would be a one-on-one. And so if we can get that all working, we'll see if...
Well, you need to take Larry with you. Get that Larry Morgan exclusive.
That's right. That's what we'll do. I think Larry's been out there on Thursday and Friday whenever this all comes down. So Larry's doing his job as well, not just lounging at the golf course. As it goes. But anyway, game on Sunday, 5 p.m. They'll have Monday off. Expect them to train Tuesday, Wednesday, and then travel to Orlando on Wednesday night. That's my guess right now. Then they will train in Orlando on Thursday, play a game on Friday
night.
And then they will probably fly home, is my guess. They will come home. I think that will be it's like a 4 p.m. kickoff time on I have it here.
Eastern time, yeah.
Yeah, so 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So 4 p.m. So they'll probably end up flying back on Saturday before having to travel to Sporting Kansas City on Tuesday, probably is what it'll end end up happening. They'll fly in the day before. So
and hopefully they're all still injured by then.
yeah, Sporting Kansas City, right? Yeah, they've been injured for quite a while. So you'll see if they continue to slide. As far as injuries right now, Perry Kitchen back to full training, so we don't expect him to be an injury problem. In fact, he could possibly even be available for this game coming up against Colorado.
And again, if you let Instagram tell your story, if you follow @Galaxy Profile, he posted something new week. He hasn't posted in a while. So just the fact that he's on campus posting stuff, I think he's expecting to be involved.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's a good thing.
All right.
I make all my speculation based on players' Instagram posts.
As you should.
It's my job.
So Perry Kitchen, we expect. Ramon Alessandrini obviously still out until September. We'll talk about that every time until he's back, basically.
And he posted he was upset with the rain today, just in case you were wondering.
Dang you, rain. Why does it rain? Why?
I came to LA for this.
I came to LA for this rain? No. I say no. I go home.
That is a terrible Roman impression.
Thank you.
It's offensive.
It is. It's a little lazy, quite honestly, if we're really going for a good analysis of what that was. Jonathan dos Santos looks again like he will be available for Sunday as well. As we go to standings, the LA Galaxy got jumped a little bit.
Yeah.
Midweek games did not help, but that was kind of expected. Whenever you lose 3 games in a row, had a chance to pick up points and didn't do it. The LA Galaxy currently sit in 3rd in the Western Conference, so not bad. They dropped one spot. They got jumped by the Seattle Sounders. LAFC, who's playing right now, is with 27 points as we're recording, but we won't be done before they're done. Or we'll be done before they're done, so we have to leave it at 27.
By the time you're listening to this at home, you already know.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the live chat, of course.
Yeah, of course. So that's where you'll be. That's sort of where the standings sit. And if you go to the Supporters Shield side of things, the LA Galaxy were in 2nd. They've now dropped to 5th. Seattle's in 2nd, DC United in 3rd, Philadelphia in 4th, the LA Galaxy in 5th, Houston Dynamo in 6th, Atlanta United, who have been winning games, is now in 7th. So that's your Supporters Shield side.
If you look back to the preseason where we were judging the Galaxy would land, this feels about right. The fact that they lost 3 games in a row and were still sitting in 2nd, that didn't feel authentic. So the fact that Seattle jumped them, the way Seattle's been playing, you feel like Seattle is going to, when all things shake out, they'll probably be above the Galaxy at the end of the season. So you feel like this is going to be where they land. So it felt good that you lost those games and you were still sitting in 2nd place, but 3rd place in the West, 5th place in the Supporters Shield feels about right for this Galaxy team as far as where they land league-wide.
I mean, look at the teams below them. So Houston, they beat.
Yeah.
All right. FC Dallas that beat them, but again, without Zlatan and with that first sort of try without Zlatan, they did better against Minnesota, who's 6th. They're better. They played them well. I think they're better than Minnesota. Real Salt Lake they beat. Vancouver they beat.
They're not sliding past.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me that the Galaxy are where they're at. I agree with you. It's a good assessment of sort of where they have landed and where they sit right now. So we look at the schedule again. Coming up Sunday, May 19th is the game against Colorado. Then Friday, May 24th, again, condensed schedule. Why did the Galaxy have a Sunday game, Eric? Why did they have a Sunday game whenever they're going to play on Friday?
Am I going to be that guy again? Listen, I don't know how to fix it, but they just need to fix it, all right? But it's bizarre. There's that word again. Why if you teams play on Saturday, right? It's not like
they do.
There's not
all
teams
the time.
There's not teams that don't play on Saturday. Play on Saturday, that way you get the extra day rest. You know they're playing the early game. The NFL does this. A league that does not take care of their players' well-being with players running into each other head first. Whenever there's a Monday night football game, they don't play that Thursday night. They don't play, they give them that break, or they have the bye week the next week if they're going into a Thursday night game. So other leagues have figured this out, but Major League Soccer still hasn't figured out how to schedule these just yet.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a reason.
It boggles the mind. It's like, did Colorado not want to travel on? I mean, it makes those. The Galaxy didn't get an extra day going from Columbus back to LA.
Yes.
They played Saturday and in the early game.
They didn't get 6 extra hours.
They didn't get 6 hours, let alone a Sunday game. So why couldn't they have played on Sunday? It makes no sense. And then here, why not play on Saturday, get the extra day, and they play on Friday? Then they play on Wednesday, May 29th. So again, condensed. Then they play on Sunday again.
Well, okay, devil's advocate. Here we go, talking out of both sides of my mouth. They have a Wednesday game coming up, so you don't want to play them on Saturday or Sunday. Play them Friday.
Yeah. But then they still have to play. Then it still doesn't feel like
I know it still doesn't make sense, but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
It's this game that if you
Yeah.
move this one to Saturday, it makes more sense.
Yes, agreed.
And they still had almost a full week off. They did have a full week
They had
off.
a full
They would
week
have had
off.
a full week off.
They have a week, 8 days is what they have as many days off coming into this game as they had 3 games in the previous week.
Oh, I mean, go to the fact that MLS also scheduled the Sunday game on, the same night as Game of Thrones. I can't.
This is an MLS therapy session.
I don't even watch Game of Thrones, and I'm upset that they did it.
Yeah, but are you watching it live with East Coast time? It's okay.
I could. Maybe.
Just watch it that night.
You don't know me.
Stay off of Twitter.
You don't know me.
Prove me wrong. Where does it say I don't do that?
Show me the pictures.
Yeah, well, I've watched the leaked episode already.
Anyway, so you get to Sunday, June 2nd. Now, the Sunday, June 2nd one is interesting, and we can actually go back to a little bit of news that we haven't covered yet. More LA Galaxy alumni news. Bruce Arena named officially. We'd speculated on Monday with Kevin, but we are now here and able to tell you, of course, unless you live under a rock, that Bruce Arena has accepted the job as general manager and head coach at the New England Revolution. The other part of that news is that he currently, at least the rumor is out there, is looking at former LA Galaxy 2 head coach, former LA Galaxy head coach, Kurt Onalfo, as his technical director as well.
Getting the band back together.
There's also, I think, an assistant coach from DC United's Loudon, their USL team.
Okay.
I think might also be joining that. But anyway, the reason that Sunday, June 2nd is Bruce has said that the LA Galaxy will be home against the New England Revolution on Sunday, June 2nd at 7:30 p.m. kickoff time on Spectrum Sportsnet. Bruce Arena has said that could be his first game actually being in charge and on the bench.
Why wouldn't it be?
Why?
Well, if you want to make your coaching debut and you've coached most of your career at the StubHub Center, Dignity Health Sports Park, why not make that your debut for your new team?
Do it. Why not?
Feels like home.
The only reason that I think it won't happen is that New England then goes into the Gold Cup break the same as the Galaxy, and so why take over for one game and then have the break?
He'll be there. He's going to be there.
Will he be sitting in a box? Will he do a little wave? Will he do
he'll come out. Yeah, New England doesn't need coaching. They're not a real team anyway. He'll figure it out. He just stands there, and then he'll start his real work after the Gold Cup.
My favorite line that I heard, and it's an easy one. I'm sure many people made this joke, but I thought of it, and then I read it on Twitter and laughed out loud, was that, but where's the rest of the league going to get their international spots from now? So I was like, well played. Good job. I appreciate that. Tip of the cap. So anyway, so that's where you sit. So then it goes into June. June has 3 games and 3 games only, although it will go June 2nd, June 22nd, and June 29th. We talked about the Gold Cup and the international absences during that time, and those don't really come back until you have 4 games in July 4th, July 12th, July 19th, and July 27th. 3 home games and 1 away. July is the month that the Galaxy need to push.
Yeah,
but
stockpile those points if you can.
They'll have to do it whenever they're going to be down, guys. I mean, I
at
have
least
2
he'll be
games.
home.
I have 2 games. The 2 home games against Toronto, who's a very good team this year, and Pozuelo, who I don't think is going anywhere for international.
Yeah, he's going to give us nightmares on the 4th of July.
So, 4th of July game against Toronto is difficult that you have to play 5 days after you just played in San Jose. And just, that's again coming off a road trip that you were in Cincinnati, away to San Jose, home to Toronto, home on the next Friday, so Thursday to the Friday, July 12th against the San Jose Earthquakes to close that out. And then, so you finally get everybody back. And who do you get to face? Is LAFC Friday,
July 19th.
Friday, July 19th, 7 p.m., broadcast on ESPN, LAFC versus the LA Galaxy. And that'll be the first time you really have the whole band back together again.
I guess if there's a game where you want to be full strength, that's the game you want to be full strength for.
Well, the other part of that is that LAFC has a very prominent Mexican player on their team who should be going to the Gold Cup, but decided he didn't want to go to the Gold Cup.
He's got other priorities.
He's got other priorities, so they won't be missing anybody during that time. We'll see what other international call-ups they have. But again, it just... I argue with this in my head all the time. Can MLS go to the FIFA calendar for reasons like this? Because it gets frustrating. Yeah. If you're a fan and you go there and you know you're not going to have a full-strength team and you're coming up against a rival, you play 2 rivalry games, San Jose twice, without a full squad. That's
brutal.
Does that sound fair?
No.
Because San Jose, if they beat the Galaxy, both those games going to jump up and down like they just won a World
congratulations. Cup. They'll have 4 wins for the season.
Yeah, I mean, but that's sort of the thing that it goes. And so that's where you sit. All right, let's get to some questions before we go to previews real quick. LA Galaxy Outsider in the chat room and on Twitter says, Gonzalez came here for a reason. Arena likes his tall boys, and Steres' contract is up, I think, maybe this year. Could be. And he asked that question. Was a Bruce guy. He says Steres was a Bruce guy. It's always smart to sell high. Should LA consider trading Steres to New England for some jam-tam and or a player that can help with offensive depth?
Wow, that's bold. Shipping off our boy Dan.
I don't hate it. I mean,
second highest leading scorer on the team. Are you sure you
3
wanna do
goals?
that?
There's 3 goals on that. I mean, if Zlatan's going to be suspended from now until the rest of whatever it is,
Put Stairs up front. There we go. Problem solved.
that is
Put
what
him
that
in
is
the
the answer.
number 9 spot.
It's not bad. It's value.
It's value, and I think if he's well liked by Bruce, there's interest there. If you can get something back for him, I mean, I like the notion of selling high. That's tough. That's tough because we love Dan around here.
You always sell high. Former co-host Jared Dubois reminded me recently. He said, "Hey Josh, remember whenever I said sell Ima Boateng high?"
Well, I was ready to get rid of him for Ola Kamara. I thought he was a done deal. I thought it was
done.
I thought he was part of that package, and I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, and that's sort of one of the things. So you can hold on to Dan Stairs, but if you're really going to play Gonzalez, which outsider says,
well, and you saw it this past week. I mean, he commands himself back there.
Right.
It seems like he's a starting level player, and so you give Dan the opportunity to start somewhere else if you want to put the positive spin on it.
Yep.
And you get something back for it. You don't wait till the contract is up and then he walks away for nothing. You're at least getting something out of it. So I could talk myself into it.
I
don't like it.
I don't love it. It's not. It doesn't make me feel good. I'm not going to go home and sleep well if it happens.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But it's a way in a trade you have to give up something that you probably don't want to give up for something that you want.
Yeah.
You can't give up something that you want to get rid of. You can't trade Jorgen Shelvik.
You lost me
to Bruce Arena, right? And be like Bruce.
And Bruce isn't taking him. That's
Bruce
for sure.
is like, why wouldn't I? Don't think so.
And that's the thing. What do you get back if you're doing it just for Gamtam? Then I don't. Who is that going to get you?
Jamtam?
It's Gamtam. And I'm going to use your own sword against you.
Yes.
Central attacking midfielder. What do you call him?
A Cam.
Okay. Central.
Not a
That'd be a Sam.
Not a Sam.
That'd be a Sam by your logic. But it's a Cam.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. Mostly because it goes against my logic.
I stumped him, folks.
Mostly because it goes against my logic. But you can't say it because everybody think you're saying Sam like as an SAM. You can't do that.
Exactly, but it's
everybody knows that jam is spelled with a G.
Not the way I use it.
This is ridiculous.
That's why you're wrong, Josh.
It's why I'm right.
Moving on. Downstairs stays. Moving on.
Okay. Let's see. Another question we have is from Reddit. Scape13 says, if Zlatan is going to get suspended, when do you think they will announce it? I think we said Friday.
Right.
Also, Game of Thrones last episode is during the game. You think it will affect attendance any? Yes, I do.
You really do?
Yeah. Also, the fact that it's a Sunday game at 5 p.m. will also affect attendance. I think you're going to get and whenever
it's
they
not a Saturday
announce,
7 p.m. game. Yeah.
No, and then whenever they announce that Zlatan is suspended, that will also affect attendance. So I don't know if we're really going to be.
Well, and I think the opponent has a factor. People aren't saying, well, Colorado Rapids are coming into town. Let's get our tickets. That's part of it. Sunday game, you have your people who probably weren't going to come because it's a work night. That's another factor. Again, we're talking ourselves into low attendance here. I don't know that you're saying Game of Thrones is on. I am not going to the Galaxy game.
Oh, there's people.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. There's people who are in love with the show. I mean, I've seen it.
I'm a fan of the show. I watch it. I'm going to watch the finale, but I'm still going to go to the game.
My argument against it affecting attendance, which one will never know because there's going to be multiple other reasons why attendance will be affected. And then whenever I tweet out the attendance number for this game, I will blame it on Game of Thrones just specifically for this reason.
That's fair. Getting out in front of it. You're like the disco.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to do. But, whenever all this, I think that there's going to be, there's always this hit that happens. I think that you see it on Sunday games. It's the reason they play on Sunday is for no reason.
Sunday 1 p.m. game, you can get decent attendance for that. But the later games where it gets trickier.
Tell me why. Usually we argue and we say, hey, why do you play a Sunday game? And it's like, oh, it's for TV. This game on Spectrum Sportsnet.
And wait, no, just Spectrum Sportsnet.
That's it. It's on Spectrum. So why is this a 5 p.m. game on a Sunday? Why is this not a Saturday game?
Spread it around. You don't want everyone playing at the same time, Josh. You're telling me the MLS schedule is weird? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep. Frank on Twitter writes in, says, is there a bigger drop-off in quality anywhere else in the starting 11 than going from Jonathan dos Santos to Carrasco? Do we have the financial flexibility to remedy that over the summer? How much do you estimate the Galaxy can spend on a salary? Frank, there's a remedy to it, and I don't have to spend any money. The fact is that the drop-off between Jonathan dos Santos and Carrasco is jump over somebody. You have to jump over Perry Kitchen in order to get that drop off because he was injured.
Where you're going with that.
Because he was injured, you had to make that jump, and yes, it's a steep one, and I get it. Although you made an argument.
I made an argument earlier that every team has a steep drop off. Is that you have your starting 11, and then the B team there's always going to be a big drop off. I think the drop off from our starting forward Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I think our next official starting forward in line is Ethan Zubak. I think that's a pretty big drop off. Nothing against him. He's a youngster. He has a lot of talent, but that's a big drop off to go from to Zlatan to Zubak, the double Z's there.
Well, and they actually went out and plugged apparently with
you
Alvarez.
You can
now,
they've put Antuna in that position. Yeah. Essentially you're going to put Favio up there. It's not a direct, but I guess if you're going by roster position, it's Zlatan and Zubak.
Yeah,
he's the next replacement. Yeah. That's a big drop.
That's a big drop off too. Yeah, in Major League Soccer, and I think Kevin and I touched on it on Monday. Is in Major League Soccer, you don't get the luxury of having a really good player sit on the bench. A really good player starts. That's what happens.
If they're a really good player, they're playing.
That's right. That's how it goes. And so so that's how you look at it. All right. You ready to go for LA Galaxy versus Colorado Rapids?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Are you telling me that I get a dramatic intro?
I'm telling you.
I heard. I listened to the show. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I heard you and Larry disparaging me, saying that I'm cheating. It's called show prep. There's an audience that listens to this. I want to give them a fully thought out introduction. So I put some thought. It's not cheating. It's putting some thought into the work that I do.
Here we go. Eric is the hammer's ready for his dramatic intro that he cheated on. All right. Here we go.
American motorsports legend Ricky Bobby once said, "If you ain't first, you're last. Unless you're the Colorado Rapids, then you are actually, literally, in last place." The winless Colorado Rapids come flooding into Dignity Health Sports Park this Sunday at 5 p.m., and the Galaxy will look to come at them like a spider monkey. You can watch the game on Spectrum Sportsnet or... Wait, no, what's that? Nowhere else? So just Spectrum Sportsnet. Spectrum it is! The Galaxy are riding a 3-game losing streak, and some home cooking and a weak opponent will hopefully put them back in the fast lane. Let's not look past them just yet, as the Galaxy can only manage 1 point against a similarly weakened Colorado squad last season. So do me a favor and don't put that evil on us by predicting an easy win. The Magic Man and El Diablo, also known as Jonathan dos Santos and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, will look to shake and bake their way to a Galaxy victory. So dear 8-pound, 6-ounce sweet newborn baby Jesus, we're praying for you to put 3 more points in the Galaxy's pocket. Because here's the deal, we're the best there is, plain and simple. We wake up in the morning and we crap excellence.
All right, there it is. All right, another dramatic intro. Well done. I like that. I mean,
I went Ricky Bobby.
I felt the Ricky Bobby there. My wife and I still say "sweet little tiny little baby Jesus" whenever we're
some fun with
we're hanging out. It's always a good time, and we'll see how that goes. All right. Okay. So as Eric so rightly said and got you ready, LA Galaxy face off against the Colorado Rapids. This game kicks off at 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 19th at Dignity Health Sports Park. It is a game where the 0-9-2 Colorado Rapids will face
Say it again.
0-9-2.
Yep.
They have 2 points on the season, 2 draws. 0-9-2. Colorado Rapids go up against the 7-4-1 LA Galaxy. Colorado recently fired their head coach and then came up and promoted, I think, Connor Casey, who was an assistant coach at the time and is now the head coach there. Connor Casey used to absolutely kill the LA Galaxy whenever he was a player.
He's a big monster, that guy. Big bully.
Lex Luthor is what we used to call him. A big bald head. Played sort of a very American style of soccer, like very bruiser, big guy.
He's like U.S. Soccer 1.0, like someone you'd see in the 1994 roster.
Yeah, that's how I could see that. The Rapids remain winless to start the season. In fact, their 11-game start to a season without a win matches the longest in Major League Soccer history, previously set by Real Salt Lake. But Real Salt Lake had 6 points. They were 0-5-6. Whenever you look through the first 11 games. 0-9-2 for Colorado.
Listen, why would you watch the Game of Thrones finale? The Game of Thrones finale, when you can see history be made.
The Red Wedding is here.
The greatest losing streak or winless streak in MLS history. If that doesn't bring you out to the diggity, I don't know what will.
You know what's hysterical is that the only other team in Major League Soccer I've watched more than the LA Galaxy is the Colorado Rapids in person. And when I go visit my son who lives in Colorado,
you have a reason,
I will be like, "Hey, dude, we're going to a Colorado game."
Even a Freudian slip, you can't bring yourself to say it out loud.
I can't do it, so I'm like, "Come on, we're going to go to a Rapids game. Let's go." And he's like, "Cool, whatever." And we go and sit and we watch, and I tell him how the Rapids are really bad, and the other team they're playing is going to win, and that's okay.
And that's usually how it works out. Yeah,
that's how it works. The teams met twice, the LA Galaxy and Colorado met twice a season ago, both matches coming in a 10-day span, so they sort of did the San Jose thing that they're doing. The Rapids got the game winner in the 90th minute for a 2-1 win on August 4th at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. They then reached a 2-2 draw on August 14th in Carson.
That was a stinker. I remember that one being particularly disappointing.
Yeah, so we'll see. The Galaxy have a 6-game undefeated streak in Los Angeles in the series with 2 wins and 4 draws over the span. The last Rapids victory in LA was on September 7th, 2013.
Wow, that's some good research there.
I didn't. It was MLS. MLS gives us. I already tweeted it out. People saw it.
Cite your source.
This is whenever they do good, you pat them on the head and you tell them to do good. MLS did good.
All right,
I'm good.
Fair enough. I could live with it.
All right, good. Obviously, the LA Galaxy entering a 3-game losing streak. Colorado on an 8-game losing streak. They're winless on the year. The last time they won was October 28th of 2018. So the last game of last season versus FC Dallas. Whenever they won 2-1. They're coming off a 3-2 loss against Real Salt Lake. Now, the thing that I think we have to point out about Colorado is they score goals.
They score goals. When I looked up their stats, and when you look at goals scored, they're about middle of the table. So all of the categories, wins, points, they're at the bottom of the table. But goals scored, they do score goals. They just concede a lot of goals as well.
Yeah, Kai Kamara has 7 goals. Kellen Acosta has 2 assists right now. So if you're looking at some of the best players they have, Kamara and Acosta sort of seem to be that way.
I was going to say, Benny Failhaber is on top of their stat sheet, and he's not with the team.
No, he's over with Sporting Kansas City again. He went back home there. Goalkeeper, if you look at it, David Bingham on one side, Tim Howard on the other side, retiring Timmy. Yeah. This is it. Your last chance to see him in LA, at Dignity Health Sports Park before he retires. So far this season, he has 0 shutouts, 29 saves on 57 shots faced. David Bingham, 3 shutouts, 36 saves, 52 shots faced.
Yeah, 0 shutouts for Tim Howard. It's unfortunate.
Well, not with that defense. They're really bad. I mean, that's sort of the thing. They lost to Real Salt Lake 3-2 at home. In that, what do they call that? Which rivalry is that? I can't believe.
Oh, it's something mountain. No, there's not mountains involved.
The Rocky
Mountain
rivalry. No,
I was going to say Rocky Mountain oysters, but that's not appropriate.
That's not. No, that's
don't Google that, folks.
No, I've had them. They're delicious. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a delicacy.
Moving on.
So anyway, yeah, that's sort of what it is. I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember the name of that rivalry.
Keep talking. We'll figure it out.
It's not a problem. So anyway, the LA Galaxy going up against it. This is people are saying, is this a trap game? Sure, you could call it a trap game. Colorado's gotten better under Connor Casey, but I don't think that they're a world beater.
And that goes back to the thing. Is it that they're better, or they just got up for it because they didn't like the way things were? Rocky Mountain Cup.
The Rocky Mountain. So yeah,
you were close.
You were close. Rocky Mountain Cup, which Real Salt Lake has right now, thanks to that win. But no, so it's again, you're trying to figure out this LA Galaxy team. I made a long post on Reddit in response to somebody talking about the defense, and I went out and I defended the defense. This was a while back, and I said this defense is one of the tops in the league. I still believe that, actually. I just believe that the last 3 games have not been indicative of what the LA Galaxy can do. Certainly the fatigue came into play. And then Jonathan dos Santos. He had a horrible game against New York Red Bulls.
So that's one game.
He got injured against the Columbus game, so that's 2
games.
He didn't play against New York City,
so that's 3 games. So if you're saying they had a bad run during those 3 games, there's a reason to point to that.
That's why I keep looking and saying that, is that it really feels that way. And if you see how teams are breaking them down and what they're doing, it really is attacking that midfield. And so with that being said, I think that if Jonathan dos Santos looks likely to play, that you should be okay. Now, even if Zlatan Ibrahimovic is injured, or not injured but suspended, which
does
again,
not factor.
I'm still expecting that. If it's not, hey, great, have fun riding to the game, and Zlatan will be there, and yay. But if he is, then I think you're looking at Favio Alvarez, who takes over that in that position. I think
you think it's a 1-for-1 Favio up top?
I do, and the reason I think you do that is that I think you can keep everything else the same. If you do that, you don't have to. You don't
Antuna,
you can do Pontius, you can do Antuna. Then you have Leggett in the center. You have Joe Corona. You have Jonathan dos Santos. You can play a 4-man back line. If you want to put in Pipo Gonzalez for Dan Steres, now's the time. You do it. That leaves your choices between Antuna and Felcher, and Felcher looks like he's back, even though he had a toe injury.
He posted on Instagram. He should be ready.
He should be ready. His toe, of course. Follow at Galaxy Pro, as in professional. PRO foul.
There you go.
Galaxy
now we
Pro
don't
foul.
need to do it at the end.
No,
they know where to find us.
You'll do it at the end anyway. So that's what I see. You can make some, Didi Traore. Are you going to put him at left back? You can put Shelvik at left back. Well, Traore didn't have a great game last time, so do you just keep keep switching that back and forth until you find somebody who wants to work.
And I think it's one of those things. The screams were for Araujo and Traore both to start,
and they
but
did.
I think the truth is you need to do one or the other, because you need someone with a little more steadiness, a little more experience, and so the center backs, you let them anchor it. And actually, when they pushed Polenta out to the left, he didn't do terrible out there. Given the result of the game wasn't great, but I think you need to keep a veteran presence out there, because they're going to make mistakes.
Right.
Araujo and Traore. Yes, they're going to have flashes where they're going to show that they're better than the current starters, but at the same time, overall, I think putting them both on the field at the same time is something that we should be wary of. Maybe one or the other.
It's inconsistency with young players. That's all it is.
They have to learn.
That's fine.
And you don't want them learning at the same time, because then,
problems.
especially on the back line, that's not a good thing.
You can have problems on that. So anyway, I think that's the good balance there. I think the Galaxy win this game. I mean, it's stupid if you're sitting there saying that you think this is really a trap game. That you can't. I don't think the Galaxy are going to treat that, especially not after losing 3 in a row. If this was the Galaxy having won 2 of their last 3 and thinking that everything was
lulling
fine,
themselves, they want to get back to work. They want to win, and I can see a scenario. And it looks like Jonathan dos Santos is going to play, but if he did miss the game and Zlatan was suspended, I still see a lineup that can get 3 points out of this.
Yeah, and I think you'll see team speed there as well. That increases without Zlatan. You see a higher press that you can play without Zlatan.
And that's why I still think it's a winnable game. We look at the formations that the Rapids have played with and the way they leak goals. I think if you put Antuna up there, you put Favio up there, from what we've seen on highlights, again, not actually seeing him play, it looks like they should be able to get through and score some goals, regardless if they have Zlatan or Jonathan. But again, having them one or the other or both on the field would make a huge difference.
Whenever Zlatan doesn't play, it's only happened 6 times since he joined the club. They're 3-3-0 whenever that happens.
Interesting.
So we'll see if that can sort of. I guess it goes one of 2 ways.
Yeah,
they win or they lose.
50,
That's right.
50%. Flip a coin.
That's right. That's how it goes. So we'll see how that goes. Again, the LA Galaxy facing off against Colorado Rapids, coming up on Sunday, 5 p.m. I'll be there. I think, Eric, you're going to be there as well.
I'll be there.
Good job. All right.
Yeah,
so we'll see
Sunday
everybody at halftime.
I'm not going to miss Game of Thrones. I will be there.
You'll be there
to watch the Favio debut goal.
You'll be streaming it.
No, I'm not that desperate. It's all right. It'll be there. It'll be there when you get home, people.
That's why I don't think really it should have much effect. Is most people don't watch it live anyway, right?
Yeah.
You sit down and you watch it. My wife is ecstatic that I'm not going to be there because she's the big Game of Thrones. I watch it while I'm like cleaning or something like that.
Yeah,
and she sits there and is like, yes, it's on.
Yeah, I wait till the kids fall asleep, then I put it on, put the headphones on, and then go sick.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, so your prediction sure to go wrong.
Sure to go wrong.
For this game, please.
2-0.
2-0.
Favio gets a debut goal.
Wow. This is a 4-3 barn burner.
Oh man! So you're saying Kamara's going to get some goals?
Yeah.
And the Galaxy are going to score as well.
The thing about Colorado is they score goals.
Okay, 2-1.
So 2-1. Whoa.
So I'm sticking to 2-0.
I got 7 total goals. That'll be my bet there. There will be 7 goals in this game.
Do you want to hear what 538 thinks?
Yes. What does 538 think?
They have the Galaxy at a 76% chance to win.
Duh.
15% chance for a tie, 10% chance. And, we've seen this before. The highest percentage to win for the whole weekend slate of MLS games, which has not gone well for the Galaxy when we've mentioned that stat before. They should. That's a high expected to win percentage, 76% chance to win. They should win this one. Personally, I think the Galaxy haven't beat the brakes off someone. I would love to see that 4-0, 5-0 game.
Put the pedal down.
I'd love to. I haven't seen that yet. This would be, I think, an opportunity to do it, but we'll see how, if you miss your leading scorer, then that might not be a possibility in this game.
We'll see how it goes. All right. LA Galaxy against the Colorado Rapids coming up on Sunday. Like we said, we'll be there. Hopefully everybody else will there, and we thank you for listening. Eric, you want to tell people, do you have anything else, I guess I should say? Is there anything?
For a slow news week and for not thinking we can do an hour, we did pretty good. I'm proud of us. Go us.
Go.
Yay us.
Yay us. Good job. All right. Why don't you tell people where they can find you? We'll get out of here.
As always, you can find me on Twitter at GISHammer. You could also hear me on the Guys in Shorts podcast. You can find them at Guys in Shorts Pod. And also a shout out to our friends over at the King's Realm. They've started a petition to bring back the Long Beach Ice Dog. So if you want to find them as a Kings affiliate, they're at King's Realm Pod. And then as always, I'm having a blast keeping up with the Galaxy social media over on Instagram at The Professional Foul, which is at Galaxy Pro Foul, Galaxy PROFOUL.
Told you you'd say it again. I just knew. It was one of those things. All right.
Part of my routine.
If you're looking for me on Twitter, at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com where you can find all of our videos, our stories, our podcasts, our written articles, all that stuff will be up there. Larry Morgan will have a notebook for you on Friday. Game previews up on Friday and Saturday to get you ready for Sunday's game. All right, LA Galaxy versus the Colorado Rapids, 5 p.m. on Sunday. We will see everybody there. If you're not going to watch it on television on Spectrum Sportsnet, we expect you to be at the stadium. For the Portuguese hammer himself, Eric, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.